Well, good morning, everyone. Today, I'm going to be doing a video on how Grandma and Dan Dan met, and this is my mama, for those who are watching and don't know that. And then Dan Dan is my stepfather, and so they met actually when they were children, but I just kind of wanted to get the story of it. They were both married before, and got reacquainted several years ago, so it's such a supernatural story that I just thought it would be fun for them to have it on their YouTube channel. And anyway, so I'm gonna just kind of guide them a little bit by doing some, interviewing them. So anyway, so let's get started. So how old were y'all? We'll take turns talking. When you first met, Mama, I'll let you go first since Dan just did that long video and he just got his coffee. So tell me how old you were when you first met and where y'all first met and kind of your perspective from then.
I think, go ahead.
I think I was 13,
Mm-hmm.
around 13 when we first met. We lived in we lived in Buckeye, Arizona, and my dad had started a church in Buckeye for a while. Then he moved over into Valencia,
Uh-huh.
which is just about 3 miles.
How far is that from Phoenix, Arizona?
Oh, about 30, about 25 or 30
50
miles.
miles, they always call it 50 miles from
Yeah.
Buckeye to Phoenix.
Yeah, it was about 25 miles, about 50 minutes.
Yeah.
But anyway, we used to. Then when we started the church, we started it outside.
Oh,
We
okay.
started out in front of our old family. It's my sister-in-law that had just passed away.
Right.
They had some big land right beside of them, and so we started that right there by their house.
How long did it take Grandpa to build that church? Do you remember?
Probably about a year.
Really?
Yeah, we had kind of outside type service, didn't we?
Wow.
Kind of like a
Yeah.
tent.
Yeah.
We had a tent
They
first.
threw a light bulb in the first when it first started in the tree.
Yeah.
So when Grandpa first started his church, were y'all already going there when it was? That's the tent revival you were talking
There
about?
when they
No,
did
that was a
in the
different
tree.
one. That was
Oh,
in
okay.
California
Yeah.
that his parents
So
passed
how old
away.
were you when you first started going to Grandpa's church when y'all first met?
When they was had that light bulb in the tree
must
out
have
the
been
front
about
yard of Tidwell's.
Yeah, it must have been about 15.
Oh, so that was the Tidwell's house.
Yeah, the
Okay.
Tidwells.
Okay. Yeah.
Right by their house.
Right.
They built the church out
Okay.
there, and it's still there.
I know the church is still there because Rana went to visit it a couple of years ago when she went to Arizona.
It's just been remodeled a few
It's been
times.
remodeled. Yeah, I remember when we went to church there. Well, it's probably been many years ago, probably
Yeah.
20 years ago or so, or even maybe more.
You're a little girl.
And another church had it back then. It was a Pentecostal church, and now another church it owns it, and they're still having church in
Yeah.
that building where Grandpa planted that church. That's just amazing to me.
Yeah.
We have pictures of it and her standing in front of that. It just blows my mind because. So that was, how old was you again?
I was about 13.
And now you're 78.
Gonna be next month.
So that was 63,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
63 years ago when he started that church. And
Yes,
it's still
at
going.
least that
Wow,
long.
that's a lot of,
We were just kids.
y'all were just kids. So you were 13 and how old were you?
He was 15.
And you were 15.
15.
Yeah.
And my mother, I think part of her family met my mother downtown.
Okay.
And she told them she had a son. We just moved over to Valencia.
Yeah.
She had a son that she wanted to keep him in church.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what was going on. My mother looked down the street and said, Dan, there's a bunch of kids coming down that road over. She said, they're coming to your place. Well, there's a
Wow.
road. I don't know why she thought that, but anyway, sure enough. And I thought, I ain't going to church with them, but I went.
Wow.
And I didn't know your mama then because she wasn't in then.
Oh, yeah.
Your
Yeah.
grandma and grandpa was very careful about where she went. But anyway,
So was it a big church? How many people were in the church back then? Do you remember?
Oh, you know what? It started out a small group, but it just grew so fast.
Yeah, it started going real fast. All the
Really?
country folks, yeah.
All the country folks in Arizona.
Well, out there in Valencia, out there close
Yeah.
to where we lived.
I mean, I know what Arizona, I know what Buckeye and that area looks like. And so it's it's very deserty.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just kind of hard to imagine that many people, but
Yeah.
you just,
We ended up
It
with
doesn't
pretty
look
good.
like-
For that size of town, I think we probably had 70 or 80 people.
that's a lot for that,
Yeah,
right? Because
before it was
it's-
over.
Yeah. Wow.
And growing back, coming as tight
Yeah.
as it was growing. I think it was probably about like that.
Yeah, I remember my dad's mom's house because she lived there when we were young, going to visit, and now Grandpa and them had moved away since then, but yeah, it was a very small little town, sweet little town.
And they lived in Valencia.
Yeah, which was how far from?
Buckeye. About 3 miles, 2 to 3
Cross
miles.
railroad tracks.
Just
Yeah.
across the tracks.
Yeah. So was there a lot of young people in the church?
Oh, not a whole lot.
Well, there was quite a few.
Well, I
Yeah.
guess, we thought it was a lot.
Your
It's
mama
so-
didn't get to mingle with us.
There's 7 or
Yeah,
8.
she
maybe
didn't really
10,
mingle
no.
with the, yeah. So I know that's where also my dad, that's where y'all all met too. Well, or did y'all meet in school, Dan? You and Dad, did y'all meet in school or at church?
Well, I met him in school. We didn't have no friendship.
Until
I
church?
didn't really know Ron that well, but we met, and then, but his brother Jimmy, I went
Yeah.
to school with him while
Yeah.
I was there, you know, and he was
Right.
a card.
Yeah, he was.
Ronnie was a card. He just hadn't developed. I don't want to say enveloped, but
Yeah.
he hadn't.
Uh-huh.
It didn't get around him enough to do that because he was a different person. He kind of
Yeah.
separate. You know.
Yeah, he was kind of quiet too.
Yeah, he
Like you
was,
said,
yeah.
Marlene was quiet, so he was kind of quiet. So y'all ended up being like best friends though, right? Before
Oh, yeah.
before high school. So how many
Wow.
years was it that y'all were friends? So from 15, was you like in junior high or
Oh yeah, that was in. No, I was in high school.
you were in high school? Okay.
And,
Started in 9th grade. High
Ninth.
school did.
Okay.
I think your daddy graduated when I was in the 9th or 10th.
Well, no,
I'm
he
not
was a
sure.
year ahead of you because your birthday was
I'm-
the way his birthday was
Yeah,
set.
yeah.
Okay. So y'all were the same age. You were just in
A grade below
a
him.
grade below Dad. Okay.
But I knew his brother better because we walked to school.
That's
with him.
Right.
Cool.
Jimmy. Yeah.
He'd walk in, we would go across a canal, and just
Uh-huh.
a narrow board. We'd try
Right.
and knock each other off that board to come across
Right.
that board.
And so Marlene, did she go to that church too? His Dan's wife?
I think they went to the one, and they may have gone to the Church of God,
No,
the
well,
Assembly
they
of
went.
God, and
yeah.
they come to our church. They were
Some-
not like
yeah,
us.
Yeah.
They weren't like just in one church.
Yeah, they visited, but
Yeah.
so
That's
how
how
did
I
you
met
so
her.
how did you meet Marlene then, Mama?
Just coming to church.
Okay,
But I wasn't allowed to hang with a bunch of people.
right.
My mother was very strict.
Yes, I
And-
understand.
and my
I was always
niece-
strict with my kids too.
And
yeah.
my niece lived there, so I was really
Yeah.
close with my niece, Diane.
Well, Mama, just to put this in perspective, you were the baby of 10 kids,
Hmm.
so yeah, so you were kind of the baby anyway.
And very sheltered,
very sheltered.
protected.
Yeah, Grandma was very discerning also.
Yes.
Yeah, you call her
So-
Hawkeye.
So Mama and Dan were friends, but so Dan and my dad Ron were best friends, very close, and my mom was very close with Dan's wife. So
Yeah,
they
we-
kind of run in a group when they
we
were
was
kids.
all, we was all good friends.
Yeah, when they were in their early teens or whatever, they were really close. And so Dan and Marlene ended up married, and Mama and my dad ended up married. I want you to tell that story you were trying to tell in that other video, but I want you to tell the story of how your mom prophesied that you were going to marry my mom, even though it didn't happen for many, many years to come.
Yeah, my mother told me the Lord told her I was going to marry Susan.
How did that conversation start?
Well, I'd come to place I run with some of the rougher boys there. I'd kind of got
The
with me, you know.
Pittman family.
Uh
Believe it or
huh.
not,
Okay,
I
my
witnessed-
cousins, the
I witnessed
Pittmans.
to those boys. But anyway, and so, we just,
You're trying to figure some stuff out in life, maybe? You were talking to your mom about marriage or.
yeah, and she told me, said, the Lord showed me that you're going to marry Sue.
Hmm. And how old were you when that conversation happened?
I think I was 15 or 16.
About 16, I
Yeah,
think.
about
15 or 16.
And so,
Hmm. And so you thought it was going to be right then,
oh,
right?
I thought
Or-
it was there, bro.
Right,
you know.
yeah. But
I was
many,
hoping.
many years would actually pass before you saw that come to manifest. Because I remember when you first moved here, you was telling us about it, and you were like, the only prayer that God didn't answer was that one when your mom prophesied over you. But then in reality, it was like we all realized that God
Yeah,
did
yeah.
answer the
She
prayer,
said
but it was
she
probably
said the Lord
50,
told her
60
that
years
I was
later.
I was going to marry Sue.
right.
And I did.
Yeah, just not then.
How many years later? 30, 40 years later?
When you're 47, you was married to Marlene. But I want to say something that's really, really important to me and Dan both. And we talk about this. Had it not been the way God planned it,
Right.
my children and his children,
Mm-hmm.
and the trip that God took us on,
Right.
the
journey,
training, the
journey.
training that we both had,
Yeah.
and the families that God gave us, because God had plans
Right.
for all of these children.
Yeah.
He had such plans for all of our children. And at the time, I had no desire for nobody. I was just a kid. And I had no thought.
You were just an immature kid.
Yeah, I was just a kid.
Right,
And
yeah.
like he was saying, when he come
He
over,
was probably a little bit more serious minded.
Yeah,
and
he's
you
very
were
serious.
just yeah.
I was really mature.
And that's how it is. That's how kids are.
Yeah,
different kids.
but the day that he came to the church, and me and Diane, my niece, were cleaning the church, and of course there was no music there because you didn't have that back in those days.
Right, there's no stereos.
Nothing. And
right.
so we were just cutting up and twirling around and singing and playing and twirling and dancing and singing. And I know it had to be Christian songs because we didn't know anything else.
Right, y'all wrote a lot of songs actually, you and Diane.
Yeah, we wrote songs. So he when he came over to ask me, I didn't know. I didn't even know that until we married.
Right.
That he later, 50
Lord,
years later,
yeah.
47 years later, that he'd even come over to
Wow.
ask me. It might have been 50 something years because he
Yeah.
was, married a while
Yeah.
after that, 2 years after that.
Yeah.
Before-
Yeah. Didn't you and Dad work in a grocery store together, or was that just? Yeah. That's my dad.
You know, for
What
2
was the name of
years,
that store that y'all used to?
Safeway.
Safeway. Y'all
Yeah.
worked in Safeway
I
together.
worked at others at that, but we worked together in Safeway.
Mhm.
And we had a good relationship. Your dad, he's always laughed. He had the
He's
craziest laugh.
good-natured,
You would
uh-huh.
never know it unless you got one like that.
He
but
was a
had-
little ornery too, though.
Yes,
Sometimes.
we were honored to each other. He pulled some real things on me at
Yeah.
that time. We did to each other, but it was a great relationship.
Yeah.
And then it just changed, in time.
Yeah.
You know how the Lord does, and you move
Right.
on to other trails.
So we know that y'all both married and went different directions for
Yeah.
many years. And then what ended up happening is my dad passed away.
Mhm.
Mama, what year was that?
He died in 03 of March. What is so neat, it's not neat, but it happened like this.
Right, yeah.
On March the 7th, he passed away.
A week before my birthday. I'll
Uh-huh.
never forget.
Yeah, and he passed away, and in my mind, I was never going to marry again.
Oh, I remember.
I had no desire.
remember for
didn't
a
want
long
no,
time.
I did not want no man looking at me.
No
I was
desire.
not, because that wasn't God's plan at
Right.
the time.
Mhm.
And so I never was interested in anything but, my children and
Oh,
my
I
family.
remember. Right.
But anyway, yeah, he died March the 7th.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, during that time, I remember I had just opened a little store that the Lord had given me several dreams about opening.
Mhm.
And my dad, before he went into the hospital to get surgery, he had an aneurysm. And he helped me build everything inside my store. So,
Mhm.
and then also not only that, he did wood carving and he built birdhouses and stuff. And so my store was filled with all of his products.
mhm.
And so we opened in October, and of course his fingerprints was on everything, just from fingerprint by meaning his touch. Everything he built everything, like cabinets, and so I think it was when was it that he went into surgery? Was it January? January he went in for surgery, and I remember him setting me down at the beach store. You I don't know where you were at. You probably went to pick us lunch up or something, and he said, I need to have a serious conversation with you. And I was like, Dad, he's like, if something happens to me, I want you to take care of your mom. Well, he did not tell us actually the kind of surgery he was going into. He kind of tricked us. He didn't want us to know how serious the surgery really was. And we did not know that the doctors had told him he had a 50% chance of living. And so when he had the surgery, it would be 6 weeks of us going to the hospital literally every day, and he died. He did come out of that surgery for 2 days. We barely had any time where he was actually awake, where he was alert, but he was awake for 2 days. We had 2 days that we were able to tell him goodbye, to love him. He had a heart attack after the surgery, and I wouldn't take anything for those moments. We know that he told my mom that he went to heaven, and he couldn't wait to be able to share with us the things that he wanted to tell us a lot of things about what he's seen in heaven. But he never got strong enough. He ended up dying before he got to tell us that. But anyway, so after my dad died, I had this store filled with all his stuff, and I still have a lot of the memories, but was so thankful that time we had with my dad. And so then, because that the Lord had told me to open this store, it gave my mother a place to come every day and grieve. I mean, like she grieved, but it wasn't like she was alone. So Mama just kind of shared that little part of those, how many years? It was about 5 years then.
Well, he died in 03, and then I moved over here in 07.
So it was 4 years.
And I moved to Clinton because I lived in Byron.
Yeah, and you lived right around this corner from the store.
Yeah, I lived in Byron when he passed, and he passed, like I said, in March. And I lived there until November, October, somewhere in there. And then I moved in with you, found a home.
Right.
And I moved over there in Clinton, and just right behind the store. And I was there every day. And
Every
the Lord
single day.
used that. It was like a place that I met people and that broke
Pray
down all
for
that.
people all the time.
Pray, and it took that grief. It just,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the Lord gave me. I wanted to share this because there's probably women or men that have lost a mate or lost a child, whichever. But the last night, my family came to stay with me after he died. My sisters, and that last night, everybody was leaving on Sunday. Well, they left Sunday, and the day they left, I went to bed, and I was going to bed, and you know how you do. You think, well, I'm gonna go smell of his shirt, and all that kind of stuff you do.
Right.
That's what you see on TV, so you go do those things. Well, anyway, I went to the closet, and the Lord started speaking to me. He told me, he said, we don't grieve as those who have no hope.
Right.
He was letting me know that the kind of grieving that people did without him was different
It's true.
than people with hope.
Right.
And so I laid in the bed, and I was laying there, and I knew that I wasn't alone, even if I was alone. But anyway,
Didn't make it easy.
it
It
made
just
it-
made it
it
livable.
made it,
made it doable.
yeah, he showed me that there's a difference in grief and the spirit of grief.
Oh wow.
So I, at the time, was grieving without that spirit.
Right.
It's like people having fear and then having the spirit of fear.
Right.
The spirit of fear will destroy you.
That's
But
right.
you know,
It'll
you
take
might,
over.
yeah, but in anger or any of the spirit,
Right.
any kind of spirit. But the
Right.
Lord said, we don't grieve. And he said, I'm with you.
Oh,
When he
right.
said, we
Yeah.
don't grieve.
He was
So
gonna walk you
he
through
was
that
right there with
journey.
me. And so
Yeah.
every time that I would go to that beach shop every day, and that was like Susan, the Lord had that planned for me. I believe
Right.
all of this was like ordered before.
was, yeah,
Even us
absolutely.
moving from Texas, I tell people how that we lived in Levelland, Texas. And I was wanting to move here for years before we come over here to Mississippi.
The God's timing.
And his timing, it was 9 years after she moved.
Wow.
And then when we moved, the Lord let me know that he brought me so as I wouldn't be alone
Right.
when Ronnie passed. But anyway, when he gave me that, we don't grieve as those who have no hope. Every time that I would hit, that spirit would hit me. That spirit of grief. And I don't mean I did not grieve, but that spirit of grief
Right. The spirit. Right.
that would come against my heart, and I didn't know I could make it.
Yeah.
And he would just bring that right up to me.
Right.
It was like he was constantly reminding me, we don't grieve like that.
Right. That's amazing comfort. That's how when the Lord, His truth sets us free.
It
really,
does.
His truth sets us free.
It
And it
brought
doesn't
me
mean we
through
don't
it.
have to walk it out, but it transforms your thinking
Yes.
to a different way to process it. So Dan, it would be what, 7 years later that you would lose Marlene?
No, 4.5.
What did she pass away?
07.
07, yeah, I was
She
wondering
was
what it was.
March the 8th. That's what I was
so
going to say.
Dad's was 2003
And March the 7th, and he was March the 8th,
March the 8th
07.
07. Wow. That was literally almost to the time. The timing was even so close. And so when Marlene died, tell us just a little bit about that season in your life. We're not going to just do it really, really long because I
Yeah.
want to share some other stuff. But just tell us, just like she did, kind of share, how did God get you through that season?
He had to help me.
Yeah.
Uh,
How long were y'all married? How many years?
47.
47
47.
years. 47. I'm trying to remember
That's a
the time.
long time,
You know,
isn't it?
I've had a lot of things since then, but 47
Right.
years. And,
Yeah.
you know, I told her one day she found she had that cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to watch her go through that thing. Sometimes we go through and don't understand. And
Right.
like your mama did, you know.
Yeah.
And I knew when I listened to your mother talk, you know, I thought, boy, this
Wow.
is the same thing that I watched. But
Mm-hmm.
I told her one day, I said, I just pray for God to heal you and same to go away.
Right.
And she put her finger on my lip. She couldn't talk because she
Oh,
couldn't
like,
get breath.
right.
And so it's kind of tough. But God had, you know, we go through pains.
Yeah.
God will deliver if we, you know,
Right.
ask. But I think there's some things you have to go through.
You know, I think a lot of times fear is the one thing, the fear of dying is the one thing that most people deal with. But it sounds like Marlene wasn't afraid.
We
Because she
don't
was like-
understand. See, that's
Right.
the problem. And she had somehow,
Something had happened. She wasn't afraid. I don't
Yeah.
think my dad was afraid either.
and
you
she
know.
just, her sister came. They were the Jesus name people.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that when I was a kid, and her sister was just radical, you know, and they come over, they had a meeting in her room. She's on her bed.
Yeah.
And they didn't ask me in.
Yeah.
And they had this meeting, man, it lasted forever. But when she come out,
Mm-hmm.
I knew she had made her mind to know, you know, that she was going to meet the Lord. But she
Yeah.
she loved the Lord.
She made her choice, didn't
She
she?
made her choice.
I think
And she loved the
that's
Lord,
true. Yeah. I
And
think
she
that's true.
suffered a lot.
Yeah.
Ray suffered a lot.
So after all that happened, I remember, now I don't know I actually don't even know the whole story, but I know that you somehow come across my Uncle Jim, my dad's younger brother. How did you come across him and found out about my dad being
I had a picture
gone?
of
Yeah.
your mother in my billfold. I didn't know it for years.
Me
had
and
that-
Marlene was a picture of us together.
When you were kids,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Yeah.
And one of my daughters said, "All right, Daddy, you can go get your blonde." I wanted to go over there and smack her.
You wanted to
And,
go hit her when she
well,
said
you know how
that?
you are when you're in that kind of place.
Oh,
you
of
know?
course, yeah.
But you know, it really, and I never thought.
You didn't
about
even
that
think
for-
anything about it, did
no,
you?
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
But eventually, it just come around.
Right.
Dad-
So when did you come across Uncle Jim? I know that there was
Well,
some kind of conversation or something.
I was in, but I went over to Buckeye, and I
Okay.
wanted to see if there's any of my friends left or
Uh-huh.
anybody, you know, that was left over there. They were all gone. I mean, anybody that I'd known had passed away. And I was standing there, and a woman come out of the newspaper office, and it's in front of my house where I used to live.
Right.
And she asked me, and I told her what I was doing there, you know, that I was just visiting. And so when I told her, she put my store, I didn't know it, she put that store in the local newspaper.
Oh,
And
wow.
your Uncle Jimmy,
Responded.
he took that paper every
He
month,
still
Wow.
and they sent it to him. And when he saw that, he called me.
That's amazing. So was your phone number in there or something? I mean, how did he get a hold of you? Or you just
You
hunted?
know, that's been so many years ago. I
Right, you
can't
forgot
remember.
it.
But I asked him about your mother, you know,
Yeah.
and they
Mom
were
and
very.
Daddy. You asked about Mom and me and Daddy.
Oh yeah, but they were very. Well, I knew
You
he
found
was
out-
alive, and
Yeah, you found out that he had passed away
I found
somehow.
out he passed away.
Through
I
Uncle
was still
Jim.
in real pain, you know,
Yeah.
but it was a way. Just I think the Lord just gives us stepping stones. He'll bless us when we're in pain sometimes,
Right.
and He would just give us steps that we step. And I'd walked that all my life, so
Mm-hmm.
I knew that God was doing something, but sometimes I didn't want to admit it. That it was the
Right.
Lord. And so anyway, Jimmy, my wife and I had went over and met him a couple of times
Mm-hmm.
before when he was
When he was in
working.
Oregon?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was
that's
in
right.
Oregon at the plant there. It's Oregon.
Portland, was it Portland? Is that
Portland,
where he was
Oregon.
at? Mm-hmm.
And went and seen him a couple of times, you know, and so, you know, it's just something that the Lord just brought around that way. It had to be God.
Right. So then, how did you get Mom's number? Because I know that you ended up calling her out
I
of the
asked him
blue.
for it, he wouldn't give it to me, and so he thought about that. They were very careful with your mother when it comes to that stuff.
I mean, they
you
were
know.
trying to be getting pretty
His
protective.
wife was very.
Oh, Jeannie. Yeah, Aunt Jeannie.
She was really, and so finally, I got the number. Jimmy let me have the number, and one day I got up the nerve and I called.
Mm-hmm.
And but you know this strangest thing, Joanne Rodney's wife
Wallace. Mm-hmm.
called me at 3:00 in the morning. I was at some of my kids laying on the floor on a blanket because I was just there visiting. I just laid down and anyway, she called me at 3:00 in the morning, and I was still in a lot of pain over my wife.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "Dan said you're going to marry Sue." I said,
Joanne did?
"So where did you get that from, Joanne?"
Wow.
She said, "I know you're going to marry Sue, and I want to be her bridesmaid."
Wow.
And so anyway, you know, I just took it in my what do you call it, taking it in your.
Did she have like a dream or something, or intuition, or
She
just out of
said
the
the
blue?
Lord showed her that
Wow.
I was going to marry your mother.
That's
And,
interesting. So now you've had two confirmations.
I'm telling you, it was crazy. But
Yeah.
you didn't want to believe them when you're hurt so bad. You
Well,
don't-
right. You're not. Yeah.
you're not ready.
You're still trying to grieve.
You ain't looking.
Yeah.
But I just seen road signs.
Right. It is amazing, isn't it, how the Lord will do
And
stuff
she
like that.
couldn't remember that. The next time I talked to her, she didn't remember doing that.
You know, I wonder if it was an angel.
Could have
Had to
been.
be. Had to be.
You know.
I thought you crazy woman, man.
Right.
3:00 in the morning.
Oh my gosh. So then, so Mama, you tell me about that first phone call when he first called y'all.
Yeah.
Tell me.
We were living, actually, we was living over at Teresa's house.
We were living with Teresa at the time. I remember.
Because
Yeah.
we had moved from Level.
Trying to find a house for Mom
We
at
had
this
moved
point.
over from Clinton
Mhm.
over here because we
Yeah.
was moving to be around Susan, Dean and
And
Teresa.
Bobby and I were separated at the time.
Yeah.
So I was living with Mom. So there was a big group of us together.
Yeah, you'd been separated.
Before we had before we did remarry, but
Yeah, they got y'all separated about a year about then.
we were separated 2.5
By that time, though, it was a
it
little
was
over
about
a year.
a year. Uh-huh.
Little over a year then.
Yeah.
And so we was living at Teresa's house and got a phone call, and it was Daniel Leeton, And so we started visiting.
Mm-hmm.
This was in July, the latter part, because our family reunion, I can remember because it was so strange. Our family reunion was 7/7/07.
Oh yeah, I remember that year.
That was the
Yeah,
year
yeah.
that our family turnage reunion was. And so he called me about the 20th or 18th or somewhere around that at the end of the month. And so we started talking. And then he just wanted to talk. And after about a month, he said, I'd just love to come over and have coffee with you one morning. And so
I remember, I have to tell this on Mama. So we were all living there, and it was funny. I mean, of course, you know, you got your kids watching you all the time. My mama carried that phone around, waiting for that call every day. That's what it ended up being. Now, in the beginning, it might not have been like that. Before it was over, every day she'd carry that phone around. We knew he was going to call. He'd already told her he's going to call. So it was really cute.
And
anyway.
let nobody know. Don't dare get on the phone.
Don't you dare get on that phone.
But I didn't know that. And my son
Of course,
was pulling
yeah.
tricks on me. At the same time, when she called, he'd try and give me another job to go do
So he
what I was
couldn't.
Was
doing.
it Steve?
So yeah, but he couldn't call me.
I just stopped
That's
him one
so
day and I
funny.
said, you don't ever do that again. And I packed my stuff with one of my daughters. I left because of that.
That's so funny. And I do
Crazy.
remember this was kind of on her, but you know, kids are funny. I do remember, they send pictures of you in overalls and stuff
Oh,
just to
yeah.
be fun?
I hated my kids for that.
He got mad.
I think they stopped. She'll see him in them coveralls. She won't nothing to do with that old man. But you know,
Yeah,
but it don't matter if God's in it.
that's right. Well, I have a little story to add to this whole story, which is even crazier.
Uh-huh.
So it was the year before my dad died. I had a dream.
Yeah.
This would have been 2002.
Two.
And we went to visit my brother in D.C. And I had a dream when we were there. And I dreamed that I was going to this church. And it was, in my dream, I thought it was a Spanish pastor. It wasn't a Spanish pastor. But to me, look, you know, he had a mustache. He was dark-headed. And we were standing at the front of this church. And so when my mom and I came back from D.C. to Mississippi, I told my mom, I'm like, I've got to find this church. This was a God dream. I know. I saw myself standing with this minister in front of this church, and we were ministering together. And so I know this is a God. I mean, I knew it was a God dream. It was so powerful. And so when we come back from D.C., we drove all over town trying to find a little Spanish church. Couldn't find the first Spanish church anywhere. Nothing. So I guess several years would go by, of course, because my dad died. It was like several years later. It was 2007. So when Dan did decide to come and get coffee with Mom, and she agreed to that, the minute he walked in, didn't look anything like the pictures that his kids had sent, of course. In walks this gentleman, and I was like, oh my goodness, it's the Mexican pastor. That was my thought. It's the Mexican pastor. It wasn't the Spanish pastor because he wasn't Spanish. But this was Dan, you know, many years ago. And it was like, I was like, huh, you know, but I was still resistant because I was like the kid, you know, I didn't know this man from Adam, and I was protecting my mom. Of course, we all were in the time, but then over time we did learn Dan that he was a sweet guy. But, anyway, so Mama, tell from then, what happened?
Well, he flew in on the 12th of September, which was Spencer's birthday.
Oh, okay.
He flew in on the 12th of September, and
It's been about a week.
he spent about, Adina told him that he stayed in a motel this time.
Oh, okay.
We found him a motel. Me and him went and found him a motel. He stayed in this motel, and like I said, about a week. So he went home, and he decided that he wanted to come back
On the way.
on the way going home. He flew.
You want to come have another cup of coffee?
Yeah, he wanted to come, and he wanted us to date.
My kids come and got me from the airplane when I was there, and they said, "How you doing, Dad?" I said, "I'm going back." I said, "There's
He had
one
made up
more."
his mind.
But he come back in his car.
But this is a funny story. So I think him and Mom had talked, you know, since he left, and he was going to get his stuff together in Oregon, and Oregon's a long way, and he was it was probably going to be a couple months.
Yeah, we thought.
And so Dina and Harold, they're just the sweetest people ever. They're always, they've taken me in, they've taken his sister in, they've taken people in over the years, and so they were like, yeah, well, he, you know, just tell him he could come stay with us, you know, just to stay and see, maybe this dating thing will work, maybe it won't. They didn't want him to get himself locked into a house or anything like that. So all of a sudden, it was like 24 hours later, and he's coming in 3 days. He was on his way back. 3 days, not 2 months. This is how serious this little relationship was.
Yeah.
So go ahead, y'all. Continue
And
on.
I called Ronnie because I
My
come
brother.
off when I got to Jackson, you know. And I said, this is Dan. He said, what?
He said, where you at?
Yeah, where you at? I said, I'm standing in front of this hospital here on the freeway there.
He's not from here.
Yeah.
You
and I
called the
said,
wrong person.
I said, all I can tell you, I see this building with a cross on this hospital. I
Oh,
wasn't
gosh.
sure.
On 55.
Oh, he was just 50.
He wasn't happy, was he?
He was not happy with me.
Oh, my.
You know, that. But God has a way of
Yeah.
Oh, of
making
course,
things
yeah,
up, you know.
time, right.
He's sweet boy. And,
Yeah.
and in time, you know, but he was watching his mama.
Of course, yeah. I mean, right, we didn't really know you. I mean, we'd heard of you over the years because we heard a lot of Mama's friends and, you know, people.
Yeah.
But we didn't really know, you know, and it was really quick. You have to, you know.
Hey, I didn't.
I'm sure your kids were the same way, probably. Yeah,
I slept
yeah.
one night on the road. I laid across the seat and slept on the road coming, and they wanted $75 a night for a motel room, and I wouldn't pay it. I'm cheap.
So, how long did it take you to get from Oregon to Mississippi?
Oh man, I don't know. It was a
That's
rough
like
trip.
3,000 miles, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
3,000,
yeah.
exactly.
It was
3,000. Was it like 2 days?
3 or 4 days.
When you're in
We
love,
slept on the-
when you're not sure and you think you're in love, man, you can drive 90 miles an hour. Just, and everybody that I went to, you know, on the way I stayed with Diane and Arlen.
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And they gave me a place to stay that night, and I knew she was trying to get across me something, you know, but she realized she couldn't get in that
Yeah.
place I was in,
Mm-hmm.
and she talked about in the morning they have coffee. Man, 4 o'clock I was up and folded my bed, and brother and I was
He's
gone.
gone.
You didn't have time for coffee, did you?
Yeah, she
Breakfast?
disappointed, but she knew I had a journey, so she just,
That's hilarious.
it's God's journey. It
Yes.
was.
It's
Well, we're crazy.
It's like when you know that season's starting, you're ready to enter it, aren't you? It's like when you know something, you can't wait
Yeah.
to get there. It's
But I was
really
in a
great.
lot of pain. Your mother's in a lot of pain, but I was in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And
It was like it was like God was comforting both of y'all through the
Yeah.
grieving process, and y'all had the familiarity of y'all were childhood
Yes, that's
children. You were raised together. You had the same kind of background. There's comfort in that.
Yes, sir.
There's comfort in knowing this is a man of God. He was raised like me. Not only was he a Christian, but he's raised like me.
my mother told me I was going to marry Sue.
And
And
you
so-
probably remember that prophecy.
Oh, I remembered it all the way.
Yeah,
I said,
yeah.
God, you really going to do something like this?
Mm-hmm.
But I think the more he said to me, the faster I drove.
Right.
And but when I called Ronnie, I know he couldn't.
You know,
believe
I
it.
think the Lord gave you that those many years ago for confirmation for your future, because I
Yeah.
do believe that God put y'all together.
I do too.
It's like, and this is like a question I want to ask y'all. You know, Dan's very, very, very prophetic himself, and so is my mom. You know, they're both very prophetic, very discerning people, and you know, I've watched them. You know, just together. You know, they're just amazing parents and grandparents. I really don't know how they do it because, you know, I watch the world and step parents and see how they are, but they're so they're just so good and they're so fair to their kids and they treat everybody so wonderful. And you know, it's hard when you have I don't care who you are. It's like, it's not easy being a step parent, period. I mean, you know, it's just because that's not your natural children, but y'all just do so well. Tell me some of your secrets. What do y'all do to be wonderful parents and great step parents?
Well, I can say one thing, that before Dan and I married, I used to talk with my sisters every day on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
I still do sometimes. But I was on the phone and I told my sister Agnes, I said, I don't know about married. I said, I don't want to marry somebody that don't love God like I do and won't love my children like I love them. And I can't love his kids like he loves them. I said, I don't want somebody that we can't love our children that way.
Right.
And she told me, she said, it's going to be that way. She just prophesied that right over me. It's going to be that way.
And took away that sting.
Yes, and I know that it had to be God. Well, his daughter, like my son, was, checking on him. His daughter, she came over in October, I think it was, because we ended up marrying in November.
Yeah, they snuck off and got married. None
Yeah.
of us got to see it. Because they didn't want it to be unfair
To
for
their-
anybody that, like, my brother lives in D.C. and his family lives there. So, no, we didn't get to see it.
Your mom was her on that part there.
Yeah,
And I
I
thought, what a strange situation,
Yeah.
to be like that.
Yeah, we showed up to the courthouse after they had left, and there was a car exactly like Dan's with an Oregon plate that we almost put shoe polish on because we thought it was his, but it wasn't. That was the crazy
Tricia was
thing.
gonna hang
Thank the
pins on it
Lord.
and stuff.
We were standing outside of the courthouse waiting for them to come out for like 30 minutes to an hour, and finally someone inside the courthouse walked out there and they say, "What do you girls want?" Because we were standing there with our heads in the window, for like an hour, thinking they're coming out in a minute. And we were like, we're waiting for my mom and stepfather. We got wind that they were getting married today. And they laughed and they said, "Oh, they left like an hour ago."
Said that old man and that old man.
We had just
Pretty
missed
long.
them. Yeah, we were trying to sneak in and, anyway. So tell me your secret, Dan. How are you such a wonderful step parent? What do you do?
I love kids.
You love kids.
I love
loves
kids.
And you love the
Everybody.
Lord.
I
He
love them
loves.
because I remember what the Lord did to me when I was a child. I know what God will do with every child
Right.
if you. And I always tell people, listen for the Lord.
Right, that's
I
right.
trained my kids that, and I think you kids, we talked to you about that. It's just like I was saying about how God delivered me in the car wreck and stuff.
Yeah.
When you have an appointment in your life, you're not going to die if you have a desire
Right.
to. I want to say a desire to live, because life is saying we should have a desire to live. The Lord wants us to. But
Right.
I found that to be so true that, and the thing is, if you love the Lord, I heard Brother Howard say that thing, everything's wonderful if you love the Lord.
Yeah.
I never forgot that when I heard him say that.
Yeah.
And, and so I live by that. And I love them babies, man.
Right.
You could have 500
You can
babies.
tell you love and I'll
Loves
say this
everybody.
about Mom and Dan. God gives them words and dreams. They know about things going on in all their kids' life. It just blows me. But I know it blows my mind. But I know that that's how it is with my kids.
Mhm.
So I know that it doesn't matter the amount of children. It's that God entrusts you and it's your assignment. So what is the difference now in your older age being married than when you were young with families? So tell me a little bit about that dynamic.
I'm settled.
Is it easier when
It's
you're older?
a lot easier because I was always frigidy. Everything had to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
My house perfect, everything perfect. I
Yeah.
didn't want nothing out of
You had so much to do to keep everything in
Yes,
order.
and I didn't want no, and that's the order.
Mhm.
Everything
Right.
had to be in order because I
Right.
was if
Mhm.
everything if it wasn't in order, I couldn't.
And you couldn't rest.
I wasn't in order.
Mhm. So what about you, Dan? What's different about being old, married in your older years than when you were younger years? What's the difference? Is it easier now or just different?
I don't know that it's any easier.
Settled.
I I've loved your mom all my life. Didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that then. Like I tell you kids.
Well, you know what?
I
You
didn't
can
know
love people.
That's right.
Yeah, we love, I just have so many people in my life and you love them and it's just a God love. You
That's
can
it.
love
Kids are
your
my destiny, see?
right, and
You're
also
my destiny.
Grandpa was your pastor and you got saved into them. So our families, even though we didn't know,
He
God had already
baptized
joined
you,
us. He already had a
Yeah.
plan
Yeah.
for our families to be joined. So of course you're going to love. I mean, I feel the same towards some of the people that I grew up with. I love them dearly.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you feel like family
That's
to those
right.
people.
That's right.
So what advice would y'all give to all your children, young couples? What would, as you're older now, y'all have come through some stuff, especially like I said, y'all are good step parents. What would you give some advice as young couples nowadays?
I think listen to each other.
Listen
It's
to
really important to listen and not be so self-centered.
Mm-hmm.
I think I didn't mean to be, but I think everybody is a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And
You've kind of grown out of that more
yeah,
as you get
it
older.
is. I'm still self-centered, I think, but
Not to the right, but you do know when you're being self-centered, right?
yeah, the Lord,
And you snap out of it,
yeah,
right?
the Lord,
Yeah.
the Lord corrects,
Mhm.
but really to love your mate, and really, I think when everybody moved, when all my children left home,
Mhm.
and they moved over here, and the Lord was speaking to me one day, and he told me to start to really focus on my husband.
Right.
Because I had focused on church, I focused
Yes.
on everything.
Mm-hmm. But
Everything. And I
Mhm.
loved him, but I hadn't focused on him.
Well, it was hard seasons, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it was. And when I-
Busy
and he
seasons.
showed me to really focus on him, that he
Right.
was so important. Actually, like you would watch a kid sometime and let us go out and eat.
Mhm.
That was important. That's really important that you focus on your mate.
Right.
Let them know that they have value.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's
that
the
you
most-
see them. That
Yeah,
that
that
they're
they have
not less
value.
important. than-
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have the importance that your children, that you're giving all
Yeah.
this focus on.
Right.
But they have value, and that's what he was showing me, to show
Mhm.
my first husband that he had value, and
Right.
I thought I had.
Right. Well, it was just different. You were able
Yeah.
to give him more time,
'Cause,
more of
yeah,
yourself.
That's
'Cause,
right.
Yes. When you're young and you're doing so much, you feel so empty
Yeah.
yourself.
And it's
really.
on both sides. It ain't
Right.
just
It is exactly.
It's for the man as well as the
Right.
woman to actually let them know you love and appreciate, and
Right.
just actually focus on them.
So, what advice would you give to young couples nowadays? A short little answer.
Ask the Lord everything you do. Don't
Ask-
be
That's it.
stingy with it.
Ask
The
God.
Lord told my daughter, said, You don't go nowhere till you go see Sue.
That's right.
I asked her one day, I said, where'd that come from? She said, I don't know, Dad. So just,
That was a God
I
word
had
for
that,
you.
and she said that.
Wow.
Well, to me, it was a, I knew God's hand was there when I
Right.
did that. And we'd talk for, how long we talked for?
About 3 months.
3 months. And so,
Wow. Yeah.
you know, I don't know that does anything of you, but I think the thing is, we both really trusted God. I think I knew that the Lord had arranged this, but I didn't know how I was going to get into it.
Right. It's
You
like
guys
you
are
can't, you
a little
only see
different,
you only see the step in front of you usually.
Yeah.
God doesn't usually show you the whole path. So if you could leave any legacy for your children and grandchildren, what do you want them to remember both about y'all?
Really, like we were talking about the Lord, I really think that, like he was saying, if you'll ask him, he said, in all your ways, if you'll acknowledge me, I'll direct your path. And that is the greatest thing, because I know, like yesterday, before we was going to have this set up today, we were going to do this yesterday morning.
Right.
And the night before, I felt real uneasy about it.
Didn't have peace.
Didn't have peace.
Because it wasn't going to work
And,
out.
and the Lord has shown me that over these last, I've recognized it. That's what
Right.
he's doing.
Yeah.
He's letting me know, well, it's not going to happen. Just relax. So I said,
Right.
okay, God,
Yeah.
whatever you
God
want.
does- Yeah.
Just relax. And that's one of the things. And he did. We just had a new grandson
Yeah.
on the 1st. And I was praying like the day before, because my granddaughter, my great grandson, my granddaughter was having a lot of pain and going through a lot, and her blood pressure shot up really high.
Oh.
And I was saying, Lord, bring that baby on. And he said,
Right.
he has a set
This
time.
is perfect time. His time.
His
is perfect
time is a set
Mhm.
time.
That's exactly
So
right.
he wanted me to back off from trying to pressure and give myself peace.
Yeah. What is something you want to leave your children a legacy?
I want them to, you know, it's a hard thing to say to your kids. I just want you to love the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good
And
one.
they don't quite understand that when you tell them.
But they will.
But they will.
Yeah, and they just like you learn in your life, they will too.
Well, they've watched me live life. and
Well,
they
let me
know.
ask y'all this. What do people your age need from their children and their grandchildren? Because I think we need to know this. Because, I mean, I'm not their age yet. And I know at my age, I need different things from my kids than I did then. And I do need my children. And so I know that this is probably something they never would tell us unless you just flat out ask them. So I want to ask, so what do y'all need, Mom and Daddy? What do you need from your children and grandchildren? Just be completely honest.
Just know that we're loved, trust, and loved.
Trust. And my kids trust.
Yeah.
They really, they trust
Yeah.
everything. You know, we counsel them a lot of time when they're having struggles, you know.
Yeah.
And they're 3,000 miles away.
I know, that's got to be hard, huh?
I don't think my daughter would make it if she didn't have that counseling. I know God find a way, but you know, she needs that. Because when I get on the phone with her,
They do need you.
you remember Paul told those men on the boat
Mm-hmm.
when they was going to wreck. And they started to leave the boat, and he said, if you leave the boat, you won't make it what it's saying to. Stay in the boat. You have to the very end, no matter what the weather looks like. We don't realize that was what that was saying. When you're a child of God, you're not like the world. Because you look on other things, or they call it higher power. He's a creator, and that's the way I think about God. But anyway, I know my life and everything. And I know your mama's life. You know, I've been around ever since we were kids. You know, been there. Isn't it crazy? Because my wife, I knew her that well when she died. We'd had so many years together. I was torn in pain,
Oh,
but
yeah.
your mama was the
Well,
source.
God knew that Mama was going to be alive
Yeah.
and would outlive my dad, and God knew that you would outlive your wife, and He had a second plan.
That's right.
And no matter who you are, if you love the Lord, He is going to pilot a way
Yeah.
Right.
for you if you just stay in the boat.
Just wait for His
Yeah.
timing
Yeah.
and
And he
just
said
walk.
stay-
Just walk every day.
He said, if you leave the boat,
Yeah.
what he's saying was, I can't tell you you're going to live. But he said, if you want to live, you got to stay in the boat. And that's what I tell my
That's
kids. I
good.
said, no matter what you do in life, always love the Lord.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to add to that. You know, I said about letting them know you love them, but what I mean is just like y'all do us. Y'all take such good care of Dan and I, and that to me, we see seniors that their children don't even acknowledge them, and we have felt, me and Dan feel so loved on both sides. If we go here, or if we're in Oregon, or if we even go to his son in Colorado, we always feel so loved.
Right.
And he's got a son in Texas. They all make us feel so loved.
That's good. Because my next question was, how can we help to make your lives easier your relationship wise, financially, spiritually, anything, is there things that we can do to make y'all's life easier? I mean, because as a child, I want to know that. I want to know that my parents I want to know that y'all are okay, that y'all don't feel stressed out, because I know even at my age, as my husband's getting older, I think about our future, I think about finances, and I'm like, sometimes I get afraid thinking about that. I can't imagine, because I'm not y'all's age. You're almost 80, right?
Yeah.
And you're 78
In July.
Yeah, so tell us, just be completely frank, is there anything that your children can do?
I think what y'all are all doing, I really feel like, and I know God moves on all y'all's hearts. I know the Lord has moved on different ones' hearts when we've had needs and wouldn't say nothing, and the Lord would take care of it. And we feel like little spoiled children.
Oh.
Everybody has treated us so well, and he's got a son that if he calls him and wants to order something on the internet, this son will say, okay, Dad, and before his dad can get his card out and give him the number, he orders it and sends it to him.
That's wonderful.
And then our daughters are the same. Everyone are the same.
Oh.
All treat us so
I
good.
like that kind of kid, man.
That's amazing. I love that. So what do you think y'all have to give to our generation?
Well, I can tell mistakes that they don't want to make.
Amen.
We can say, I wished I hadn't done that. But we're gonna go through things.
Yeah, I had on here just a little note about myself. I said, I know I need y'all's wisdom and your prayer and your love. And sometimes I don't even think y'all recognize, how valued y'all are, because I think a lot of times the enemy will lie to people, because I know he does me, so I'm saying,
all of us.
and, sometimes we don't always feel like we're needed anymore, but, so what do you think you have to give, Dan, to your children, to your grandchildren? Because I know
Never change.
you have wisdom.
I don't care. The greatest gift you can give your children is they know you love the Lord.
Consistency.
And love them.
And
Wisdom,
to think,
and to speak when you need to,
That's
even
right.
if it hurt. I mean, because I know sometimes, I know for years, my mom would say something, I'd be like, but then you think about it, you walk away and you know she's right.
Yeah, I know we've all had that.
And then now you get my age and you're like, Mama, please tell me what to do, because their wisdom is so needed.
Yeah, I found that with my dad, because when my first husband and I went to Spain, was over there 3 years, and my parents would send me letters and tell me what was going on, what I was doing over there.
Yeah.
The Lord would show them, and I knew that.
Right.
I wanted to say something. The first, after I was playing around in the world, I thought I was anyway. That's the way we was raised. That was the world, and so when I had you, my first thought was get my children and make sure they knew God. That's all I could think about after I started having children. I want them to know God. That was my number one thing for my children. I want them. That's the thing, if they can, the value that they will see back later.
Right.
I taught my children about God. I'm not saying church, and I believe it's good if you can find a church that loves God,
right,
and that is, teaches the Word of God. But to make sure that your children have a foundation of God. That is the greatest foundation that you can have. Because I know right now, if I have a problem, I can call any of my children, my sisters, and we have a family prayer. I can post that. My family, my Turnage family, and his Leeton family, they love God.
Right. And they do go to y'all when they have
That's
questions that they don't have the answers
That's
to.
right.
Do you feel like your voice matters in this world?
Well, I do. I really do.
It
Because
does.
I've had, actually, the Lord spoke to me about 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago. My grandson wasn't at home. He's in the military. And he spoke to me to call, he's actually my grandson. He told me to call his wife and just talk to her a few minutes. And I did. The Lord just had me encouraging her, just telling her how much we loved her. And I was just going to tell her how much I loved her. And things just started coming out.
Wow.
And a few days later, she sent me a card.
Wow.
She says, Grandma, you don't know what you said to me.
Wow. That's
And
amazing.
I didn't, because I just was encouraging what the Lord had. But the Lord had put on my heart to call her. And this to me is the number one, is if you feel a need, don't be afraid. And sometimes you're kind of afraid to nose into their business. They're busy. Kids are so busy.
Right. They're busy working. They're busy. But the most important thing is the family dynamics.
And the Lord had me do that. And that's, to me, is.
And I think a lot of times if children can understand, I mean, I'm older, so I do understand this now, but the parents that we have were given to us by God. So they are fit for us.
That's right.
They have what they need. They have what we need.
Mm-hmm.
They have the wisdom we need. Maybe not all parents. Some parents aren't always fit and they don't go God's direction, but we know that mom and dad do. And we know that, I know that mom and dad, if they don't have the answer, they're going to pray.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to pray for us. And if God don't give them the answer, they're going to pray that God gives them to us.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you feel like now, as you're getting older, that your life assignment or your purpose is in these days? I know that y'all are super busy also. I mean, y'all were, when you were young, super busy with ministry. You were like a piano player. You were a Bible teacher. You led Bible studies and children, and y'all were in church almost every day too. And then you were a pastor. So what do you feel like now? What do you feel like your assignment is in this right now? In your family?
Being constant.
Being constant?
Being constant, because when your kids go, we got a lot of kids.
And then in the lost.
And when they call, you just need to be able to, you have to have confidence in yourself.
Right.
That's why the Lord showed us sitting in front of that gate and you was there.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord showed me, said, she gonna plow your ground.
Wow.
And, and that ground was, I didn't know it then, but I always tried to be constant.
It's amazing that you had that dream, because I've had the dream about both of us too, and I don't even know if he knew that at
No,
the
he didn't.
time. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I don't know if he
No,
knew
I
that about
didn't
the
know
time, but
that,
it was
you
like
know.
God was showing us that we have a common, I think we're both very
Silent,
prophetic
yeah.
and see, dreams and visions, and we're very much the same. God knew that I needed you as a mentor,
Mm-hmm.
as I was getting older, and because I was very insecure in my prophetic a lot of time, because I'd been so not treated very well. People would make fun of me and
Didn't
stuff.
understand the
They didn't
prophetic.
understand the prophetic.
We weren't really taught in our church. We believed in
Mhm.
prophecy and mostly it was
Right.
tongues and interpretation.
Yeah, but they considered you kind of flaky almost.
But, yeah,
See, because a lot of times when you get dreams and visions, they don't come forth for years.
Yeah.
But when Dan came and we met him, I was like, oh my gosh, he's just like I am. I mean, he is. Matter of fact, we tease each other because Mama says I married my daughter, because I always tell her I married my husband's just like her. So she kind of had understanding, because he's so much like, we're so much alike. But God knew that. He knew that, and I had the dream even before my dad passed that that I would have a this minister that was a pastor. So if you could change anything, you two, what would you change?
About our past?
Well, just
About
anything about, like,
anything.
if you made decisions as a couple, what would you change? Yeah.
Well, I would ask the Lord to help me not be so afraid to talk to people when I go. I don't think I am, but then I am.
Yeah.
I get in a
kinda
hurry.
Shy.
And
yeah.
I get in a hurry.
Yeah.
My biggest thing is when I have assignment, I'm still goal settled. Goal, whatever, my goal. If we're going to walk, we walk. We try to walk every day. If we're going on a walk, I know it's 20 to 25 minutes.
So your goal is getting to that 25-minute point.
That's
His
it.
goal is to
And-
stop and smell the roses
And talk to everyone,
everyone
on the road.
Mhm.
And we do this on the road. And that's what I was going to say is
Yeah.
our last years is ministering to people
Right.
on the road.
That's
and
right.
Witness and
Mhm.
and that's it. But when we get out of our house, when we walk out,
Mhm.
that's the first thought is who we're going to see today, who we're going to witness to. In fact, sometimes we think we're going to go one place.
Yeah.
In fact, the other day it was so strange. We wasn't planning to go eat Chick-fil-A, and I know that's we love Chick-fil-A,
Yeah.
and we weren't planning to go.
Mhm.
We had other plans, but it turned out that we was to go into Chick-fil-A,
Yeah.
and when we got in there, the place was kind of full.
Uh-huh.
So God had us in a different area that we usually sit in,
Mhm.
and there's this little boy just kept looking at Dan. This
Oh, wow.
whole time,
Wow.
he would look over the bench and try to, laugh at us and wave at
Uh-huh.
Dan. He was about 4, wasn't he? About
I
4 years
remember.
old, that little brown-headed boy. And Dan said, he reminds me of me when I was a little boy. He said,
wow.
there's a gift on that young man.
The Lord wanted him to see that, to pray for
Yeah,
him.
and wanted him to, and people that we witness to in
Yeah.
the stores, wherever we go,
Mhm.
we know that, like going out, we know that if God tells us to go this direction, it's the reason. In fact, he told Dan one day, was pulling in at Walmart, he said, if I tell you to park somewhere else, don't park there, park somewhere else.
Wow. Yeah.
He was saying, follow my leading. If I
Yeah.
put you to the other side of the store,
Yeah.
drive and go in that side. If I get you to this side,
Mhm.
go on that side, because there's somebody that you're going to walk across, run across in that store.
Mhm.
And that's what we are. That's what he was asking a while ago about our latter years.
Right. Yes.
That's our desire, is to be out sharing with the world, those that don't know God,
Mhm.
just giving them love,
Right.
just hugging them.
Mhm.
And the Lord has brought such a love to me and Dan both for the different nationalities.
Right.
And we live in a
Yeah.
neighborhood with different nationalities,
Right, yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know, and they just love us.
Right. That's
The black
amazing.
folks, we are.
Mhm.
I don't see skin. In fact, the Lord told me one day when I was young, before I moved to Mississippi, I didn't know I was moving over here.
Right.
And He told me, if your house is painted, the house on the outside is not what is important, it's what's in it.
It's the truth, yeah.
And He said, these people with different color skins, because I've got in-laws that are Chinese, I got in-laws that are Koreans, I've got in-laws that are Spanish.
Right, yeah.
And He was showing me, and I had no problem with it. I've always loved it.
Right.
I was excited that I had a multinationality family.
Yeah.
I was excited about that. But He was telling me that one day as an example,
Mm-hmm.
just to show me that the outside of the house
Yeah.
is just a paint.
That's so true.
He said, don't look at the paint.
Right.
Don't look at the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And-
Well, let me ask y'all kind of a carnal question. So, what? Because we all of us kids, we always want to know this every year, every Christmas, every birthday. We're like, oh, what can we get? So, what are the kind of gifts you like at your age? What kind of gifts? Do you like gift cards, money? I mean,
Yes.
tell us what you like.
Gift cards.
Gift cards, is that the best kind of gifts?
Gift cards
know.
is good.
for
Gift
future-
cards or money, either one of those.
What kind of gifts you like, Dan?
I don't know.
We've got so many clothes. Well, I love my clothes. I've got
Yeah.
beautiful clothes, and I love them.
Yeah.
And but we love to go out and eat.
You love to go out and eat?
We like to eat together. We enjoy eating together.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and we love to I guess that's about it.
Gift cards and money? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
that's it. That's
Gift
kind of
cards and money, and those are good for when you just want to
well
go out,
for
right?
seniors, because you got so much.
Yeah,
We got so much. I've got all kinds of stuff.
it's good
on
for
my
us to
cabinet.
know because I want to know. I'm always like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to give.
But that ain't no. And I'm the same.
So gift cards and money, Dan, or is there anything else that you wish you could have? What is it? If you could have anything, what would you want?
I can't tell you.
You can't think
I
of.
just don't know because every day is a new day. Been that way since I was a little boy.
Well, that's it. So let me ask you this: if you could have your perfect vacation? How would you describe it?
Being with your mom.
Being with mom.
Going in a motorhome, getting in our
Yeah.
motorhome and driving,
Yeah.
going by and seeing our relatives.
Oh.
And visiting with them, and after we get through them, and as the Lord leads us at gas stations, or the RV park, or even at just a pullover park, you know, to relax. And God has led us on those places to stop.
Right.
I know one day we were driving along, we was going up into, I don't know if it was in New Mexico or Arizona, but we was headed to Oregon. And as we pulled in, both of us was just real thirsty. And we weren't needing a drink.
Right.
But we all of a sudden got real
All of a
thirsty.
sudden, you just were so thirsty, you had to
And we
stop.
just pulled in, and he said, I'll get a cup of coffee, get you a Coke, and we'll run to the bathroom. We had a motorhome, we didn't need the bathroom, we had it all. We had drinks in the car.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that.
Right.
So a motorhome, I
It
mean.
was a God thing.
It was a God thing. So we went in, and as we pulled in, I see this RV that's, it's those rounded kind, streamlines.
Like Grandma used to
Yeah,
have.
and I don't know why, it just grabbed me.
Mhm.
And so
It
I
stood
walk
out.
up, and this lady was sitting in the pickup, and her husband had gone inside. And I said, hi. And so we just started talking, and she was sick.
Oh.
And they had retired.
So y'all had.
They had retired, and they were taking a trip going east, and we was headed
Oh,
west.
wow.
They was going to Florida for a vacation. They had never taken a long trip like that. But God had us pull up and she
Just
was
in the right time.
Pentecostal lady.
So what would you describe your perfect vacation, Dan?
I'd like to tell you funny.
Okay.
Your mom and I kind of got used to our motorhome.
Uh-huh.
We was going through Wyoming.
Mhm.
And so I stopped in the station and I had to go and have them turn the pumps on. And I got out of the motorhome, I was walking and I kept hearing her say, Dan? I said, Dan? And I finally turned around, she said, turn around and look backward. And I did, and I don't know why, but somewhere I picked up toilet paper on my back foot. And I was stringing that toilet paper all the way
That's
to that.
hilarious.
What's them things out in the middle of Wyoming? They
Yeah,
got them little
like a little
cans stuff.
outhouse where
Yeah,
the
and I
bathroom
got
out
there,
there.
and I thought, man, this
yeah,
is
we was just in the
this
That's
park.
hilarious.
we laughed
That's a
over it.
hilarious
Oh, we
story.
had some
So
great.
so both of y'all really, that's probably your favorite.
Oh, yeah.
That's your favorite vacation.
Yeah, we
oh,
love those
I
kind.
love that. I
We
wish
love-
gas wasn't so high.
Yeah, we love seeing people.
I wish y'all could just go from one end of the country to see Ron all the way to
Yes.
Oregon and see
We love
everybody.
it. That's
And
right.
kids, look, y'all are all going to be watching this. So when gas comes down, we need to try to make that happen for them.
Yes,
When we,
our plans.
When we started to go one time, gas is high.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like this
We was
here.
going to
And
Arizona,
Lord-
Oregon.
And the Lord told me, He said,
Mm.
when you leave, it's going to start to come down. So when you
Wow.
come back, it'll be $1.50 per gallon.
Yeah, and it'd
And
be
we
about
went all
$4
the way to
in
Oregon.
Oregon when we
Wow.
started.
Oh, yeah.
Come back, when we come back, gas is even going down below $1.
Wow, that
when we
must have
got back.
been when
That was right after
yeah,
marriage.
So-
yeah.
But you have funny times. Your mother, she's
Yeah.
sleeping in that sleeping bag. She looks as she just you can't find her. She gets in there. She likes that. I'm a big old guy and I have a
Yeah.
hard time getting that kind of rest. But we just enjoy it.
We love traveling in the
And
motorhome.
talking to people. We're going to
Yeah.
stay in them places, and talk
Tell
to
them
people.
about
And,
Jesus.
and we
Right.
talk about the Lord. And
I just think y'all's story is so amazing, and I'm sorry we may have to do another video because we're already at like 1 hour in.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's 59 minutes, 57
Wow, okay.
seconds. So anyway, as much as I'd like to just keep talking, I know that we need to kind of end it here. So
We love y'all. We love all of you kids and
Yeah.
all of the people that watches it.
we still
Yes.
got lots
And
of
we
room
pray
for
for
love.
y'all.
Yes,
We've got
y'all
lots of
do.
room left.
Yeah.
We pray for everybody
Love
that
these
watches
grandbabies.
it, that God will bless you.
And we are so blessed to have Mom and Dan as our parents and, stepfather. And I just appreciate y'all so much and love you all so much. And I hope that, our kids and grandkids, all y'all's kids and grandkids, because you got a bunch. I know there's over 100, probably close to 150 at this point with kids, grandkids, great-grandkids. But I hope this blesses everybody to kind of just see a little piece of their heart, a little piece of their story. And anyway, we love you guys and thank y'all for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That's how it is. You just push that button, man.